Hello, Rosenhart School. I'm Ace McFumbles, and this is Ask the Nation 5.
Our first question for the day is, what would you do if you were principal for the day?
Oh,
What? What's the question? If I were the principal, tell everybody to go home and I could sleep and eat chocolate all day. Lots of ice cream.
Get the teachers $1 million raise.
I would cancel school. I would ban homework.
I would start a fundraiser and spend all the money on a big pool.
field trip all day, anywhere.
Go on a field trip for free.
I would make high school classes shorter.
Free lunches for everybody.
And just send everyone home early. Don't want to deal with it.
I let all the boys have a pizza party and the girls stay in class and do homework.
I would punish all the boys. I would go to the principal's office and I would sleep there all day long.
I would make the teachers do extra work.
Make recess like all day.
I will tell them to sit down and be quiet ever again.
I would just chill out.
If I were the principal, I would lay down, relax all day. I would tell all the kids to give me all of their pickles they have. We would start a food fight. Yay!
Our next question is, if you could choose a pet for your class, what would it be? A hamster.
I would like a gerbil.
I think a guinea pig would be a fun one.
Get a guinea pig.
Probably a bird.
Bird.
My cat Bean. A gecko.
Yeah, I think my favorite would be having a snake as a pet.
A snake that could turn into a pencil sharpener. Put the pencil in the snake's mouth and then it would sharpen your pencil.
If I could pick a class pet, I would pick a puppy.
Oh, I would definitely choose a goldfish.
A fish.
Goldfish.
A golden retriever.
An elephant.
A turtle. A turtle named Turtle.
I would have a whole aquarium of sharks.
A shark.
A shark.
A black tip reef shark.
A baby shark.
A donkey.
Oh, probably a cow.
A chameleon.
For a class pet, I would probably have a Maine Coon.
I would have my very own class pet, which is a dog.
A naked mole rat.
A naked mole rat. Probably a parrot.
I would want an iguana. An iguana. Those are cool.
A pet tarantula.
I would pick an armadillo.
An axolotl.
I would get a bunny.
Honestly, a monkey.
Okay, well, first of all, we get bands of cheetahs and we let them loose in the lockers.
Hamster.
But before that, you feed them Cheetos so they're just about ready to pounce.
Begin the Cheeto dictatorship.
It's done.
If I could choose one office pet, it would absolutely have to be a cat.
I would definitely choose a cat.
I would pick a cat.
I would get a cat.
I would pick a cat.
I think a cat would be a good class pet because it's just so chill. A cat. Just a cat.
Lots of cats.
Our final question is, what is your favorite memory of having Mrs. Lopez as a teacher?
It's so hard to just choose one. Probably favorite one is going to the park every year.
Going to the Indigenous Games with Miss Lopez.
Lopez Land Drawings.
Yes.
The one time that she was talking about saliva or something, and she said, "Saliva, nature's water."
On behalf of everybody else, Treasure Island. That was a lot of fun.
The jukebox time machine play.
Playing gotcha against Miss Lopez.
Playing gotcha.
Beating Miss Lopez in gotcha.
When I destroyed her in the gotcha tournament.
When she read us House of the Scorpion. So whenever we would be like getting off track and talking and stuff, she would say, "Hear ye," and then everyone would be like,
Oh, hail the queen!
I was actually in Mrs. Lopez's very first grade 6 class, and it's interesting that my daughter is in her very last class.
I was part of the very first class that Mrs. Lopez had in Rosenhart School. A favorite memory I have of her is when our class went to Camp Arnis for 2 nights. We were all supposed to be winding down for bed, and she was like, "Okay, lights out." And she was the one sneaking around on the floor. I remember her crawling around and trying to scare people after she had already said lights out.
I just remember meeting you for the first time, and you were so welcoming and so kind. You had a huge smile on your face and this big booming laugh. You made me realize that nothing is too hard. You just got to find a way to get through it.
You always made your students feel seen and heard and loved. And I remember you going the extra mile and making cards when we would be sick or away.
I think one of my favorite memories or moments with you that I want to share, we went wandering to find new books for me to read. And we ended up in the high school end, and you unlocked that dark, kind of dusty cupboard where they keep all the old novel study books. And you pulled out a copy of Rebecca for me. Rebecca, since then, has been my favorite novel of all time.
30 years ago, I wrote the masterpiece, Skull Island, in Mrs. Lopez's 6th grade class. And Mrs. Lopez is the most encouraging, not only hilarious and warm and engaging, but so encouraging.
One of the things I remember you teaching me was public speaking through your TUSC program, and I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I thoroughly have truly learned a lot of things about confidence.
Oh boy, you were my all-time favorite teacher. Always met me where I was with my learning and what I needed and how I needed to learn. How you were able to connect with every single kid that came through your classroom in different ways.
My memory is of you sitting on the desk reading Bridge to Terabithia. You read a lot to us, and we probably got hours and hours of education just by you reading books and having us engage with them.
One memory that I have in particular is when we made the big digestive system things. And I remember you saying after that day to my mom that I should be going into healthcare because I was just so intrigued with that type of stuff. And here we are 10 years later, and I'm a nurse.
Thank you for being the best grade 5 and 6 teacher ever, and for inspiring me to become a teacher of my own. I now teach grade 6, and I use pretty much everything that you taught me. And I tell my students that too.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. Happy retirement.
Nice mustache.